Everyone. This is actually another creature talk, but it's going to be a very short one. Um, it really doesn't deserve any long exposition because it's kind of straightforward. But wanted to do this to talk about a couple things that people probably don't know. You wouldn't know this from looking at the film, or I doubt from any of the interviews done for the film. Um, and this is from my perspective as a designer of the replicants for the display case in Bladerunner 2049. I'm just going to go straight into it. So I was asked to design a bunch of replicants for the display case for 2049 by Denis. And we went back and forth about what they would actually be. Were they going to be the history of replicants, or were they going to be a display of options, or just a display to show off the quality of what they can do at the company, in making these replicants, which would suggest that there may be other companies making these, and maybe of a lesser quality. I don't know, right? And I really didn't know then. So I started drawing with the idea that they were going to be idealized. And as I started to work, I started to change my approach and how I started to think about them. And so I'm just going to get into this and start showing you some of the images. So I thought of them actually possibly being immersed in some sort of liquid and floating there. So at one point, maybe there would be the figure would be pulled to the surface and out of this vertical kind of water, um, this liquid, where the figure would actually be revealed out of this liquid, right? That was preserving it, and it was floating there. And there would be some sort of way that they could actually hold the water there, even though it's vertical, and the character could come out vertically out of this liquid, and just the surface of it would be displayed as the face is coming here out of it. Um, that's all I had thought through. So I didn't really get any further into this and how that could actually work. But I just saw the image and I wanted to go with it, and I pitched it this way. So some other figures, they were floating in cylinders. I felt that they would be floating and super idealized, almost masculine in some way. I started to think that they could be androgynous, even though they would be athletic, female, right? Um, a little plasticky looking, right? Here with a little bit of the stylized seams to the figure, and still a little android looking, maybe. Uh, Over the top figure, just this subtlety is no longer human, right? It's more than human, which you know was a saying in the first film. More human than human. Um, Still playing with that idea. Some of the parts of the figure would be, genitals wouldn't be necessary. There would be markings and seams on the character to make it feel artificial, and a deliberate difference between them and humans to tell the difference, possibly, right? Didn't have a script yet. Uh, Little ports on the back by the scapula there. Um, and these type of figures would just be floating in the display case. A little notch on the head right there to show some artificial kind of ports, maybe suggesting something on the back of the head, right? It could be on the back of the skull anyway. Um, and the subtlety that makes these different than human, that no human really looks like this, right? Um, Even though these look like people, you have to imagine this next to a real person. No one has a rib cage like that. It's designed. Um, so just for the pose that was. This I started to think of them almost starting to become a little bit more naturalized with subtle seams. And I took her and I got rid of her hair and then put the little markings over the brow, got rid of the eyebrows. Um, I, and the cylinder, right? I thought they would be kind of interesting if they were all in cylinders floating there in really dramatic poses. Um, it was a way to show off what they can do here at this new Tyrell Corporation. Yeah, which I didn't know who it was going to be. I didn't know the name of the company yet. Again, um, overly idealized figure right here. This was I had a feeling of this character, these humans with little ports on them. I thought that would have been interesting. It's such an interesting contrast, right? It's just something that doesn't look right. Um, it looks wrong. And then I started to think of them more as natural figures, like real people. So they wouldn't be idealized. There would be boxy looking people like this, right? This female figure, but with little demarcations here that would suggest that it's not, and with no genitals really, just the indication, right? But demarcations that suggest that there's nerves that are artificial nerve kind of maps all over this figure that are part of the way it functions. Something, right? It's just something else. Um, Again, just for the pose, really, and the dramatics of the lights, maybe underlighting a little, lighting on top uh, for the pose, trying to find something dramatic in how it's floating there. Um, and again, now this is something else that I wasn't used to, or I didn't know how Denis was going to approach Blade Runner. And he approached it in a much more naturalistic way. And I didn't know if it was going to be on the dramatic side, which was more, epic art display of design, right, for the film, or if it was going to be more on the naturalistic side, which is kind of the way he approached all his films, um, even though they're science fiction. Uh, so, you know, uh, I was trying to find what that was. As I did these, I was kind of going for the more theatrical display. Right? Uh, it's my way. That's what I would like, but it wasn't necessarily what he was looking for. And he took it and actually made it a little bit more naturalistic and put the figures in these poses that he got the actors later to pose in. And they did scans of these actors, and I did some work over it, over the model scans, the digital information, and they were printed out at full 100% scale, right, 1 to 1, and they did a lot of work over there in fabricating and putting all the parts together like a real makeup shop over there. I believe it was in Toronto or Quebec. Again, this is for the pose. I just wanted something very dramatic in how they would be seen for the pose again. Thinking of Roy Batty, but maybe an Asian Roy Batty character, right? But it would suggest Roy Batty. One of the other things that I was thinking of, and I pitched this to Denis as we were working through this, um, but for legitimate reasons, he didn't go through with it because, and I'll tell you why. My idea was first that I thought that I thought, well, what if we put Ash and David uh, in as replicants in this, and then examples of, say, some of the characters in the first Blade Runner film, like maybe Roy in there, right? Or and to show it's cross pollinating two projects, right? Alien and Blade Runner, but I thought that would be pretty cool, right? And it's kind of a cool history to show off because I mean Ridley calls uh, Ash and David replicants, right? And there's a lot of allusion in his alluding, I should say, to Blade Runner when he talks about Alien and the Earth and what it's like down there. So anyway, I pitched it, and he felt that it wasn't his place to do that because it actually felt those are Ridley's films, so he's making his film, and I completely agreed with him on that one. I mean, that was a legitimate reason not to do that, but I still thought it was a cool idea. So kept going. Again, this is just now the figure just floating there. I was playing with the lighting and trying to see how we were gonna, display these things here. And I took a friend of mine and actually started playing with the idea of what the evolution of the tech would have gone through to end up to where we ended up with Ian Holm as Ash, right? So I played with, and you can read it here, but I'll just talk about how it goes from rubber, more like an iMac computer, really, back in the day, but with this really super fine rubber where you could see areas of translucency where the mouth would open, right, and needed a give between the harder rubber and the softer rubber that gave more, right, had more stretch to it. And as it evolved, they were able to create the variation with one skin and then start to make it more naturalistic as we went on, right, with the skin. And the eyes started to evolve and become less like cameras and more realistic, right? And then they went beyond human and then became these super lenses here, which is more like the replicants in Blade Runner, right? And the skin is far more organic, still designed in the beard, right? See that how clean that line is? Uh, and we still have ports, I mean, and nerve markings all over that would be artificial looking. And then finally to what Ian Holm was in Ash, as Ash, and with the technology that was inside of him. I don't want to show the models because there's actors involved, and I don't know if they're going to, make it hard for me by posting this video. So I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to end it here and say, there it is, the work that I did for Blade Runner 2049. Give me a like if you guys like this short vid. And I'm on Instagram. You guys can see a lot of my work there. Carlos Suante on Instagram and or Gallery Anatom on Instagram. Gallery Anatom. All right, guys. There it is. Thanks.